Namaskar. Welcome to this session of Straight Drive. I'm Sudhanshu Mani. Friends, today I start with a change in the format of Straight Drive. We are going to keep it Straight Drive and Straight Drive Panorama on alternative weeks. Today, therefore, we are starting with Straight Drive Panorama. Straight Drive would remain what it is today, all about some burning news or some burning issue. Whereas in Panorama, I will cover just about anything of human interest. Today, we will talk about writing. I'm not saying the cliched creative writing, because I think writing itself is a creation. In Hamlet, Hamlet says that conscience does make cowards of us all. What I think it means is that given any situation, any happening in your life, there is a passionate first response. And then your consciousness, your awareness takes over. You think about what is appropriate and what is not. You think about perception, particularly others' perception. Empathy gets in, and it binds you in really speaking out your mind in a creative manner. One such author I find has recently been making ripples in the social media with the review of his fifth book, I think. And the author is Mr. Ravi Valluri. Please welcome him. Welcome, Ravi.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay, so Ravi Valluri is an officer, senior officer of Indian Railways from the Indian Railways Traffic Service, now Principal Chief Operations Manager in Allahabad, a thinker, an author, and an art of living teacher. So I was wrong. He has not written 5, he has written 6 books. The books are The Matter of the Mind, Make the Mind Mount Kailash, The Infinite Mind, which he has co-authored, and surprisingly a book called Namo 303, we will come to that later, Words to Victory, Indian Stories, Images and Thoughts, and the recent one, Heartbreak at Coffee Shop. If you can see, this is the book we are going to talk about. Heartbreak at Coffee Shop, an array of tales. Ravi also blogs at WordPress, Speaking Tree, and writes for Free Press Journal, Mumbai. Now this book, I have read it, and I will read it from something that's written about the book on the back of the cover. Is perhaps the fear of darkness diminishes human joy into ever-lengthening shadows. Yet the world is a beautiful place dotted with extraordinary creations and events. Light and darkness are two sides of the same coin. Very interesting. And one cannot exist without the other. Heartbreak at Coffee Shop by Ravi Valluri is a series of short stories, travels, and plays that cast the spotlight on the darker side of the coin. Not all love stories reach their conclusion. Well, I can read from the book, but basically you get the hang. It's a unique point of view, and this seems to be the theme of the book. So Ravi, I'll come to you with the request to make it clearer for the viewers. Can you explain this concept of the book a little bit more, Ravi?
Yes, sir. Heartbreak at Coffee Shop, an array of tales, seems to portray that everything is very dark, grim, and gory. But in reality, I would say it is actually opposite values which are complementary. For instance, if there is day, there would be night, and day would be known only with the night. Similarly, at the end of the tunnel, one looks for luminosity. Life is full of peaks and valleys, and the peak is only appreciated when one goes through the vicissitudes of life. In in this book, there are 26 short stories, 10 drabbles, and two plays, which are not necessarily dark, but they have certain twists. And the period when I had written was that of when we were under total lockdown. Absolutely, we had no idea about this lethal virus, which is still there, but humanity as such was in search for a vaccine and was totally uh, locked and didn't know what is happening. As the principal chief operations manager, North Central Railway Allahabad, we ran more than 3,000 migrant specials. And every day, as you had earlier mentioned about human stories, there were a variety of human stories, people dying in the train. There were no social distancing as such. Then mothers giving birth to children, people jumping out of trains to grab something to eat, such kind of incidences, which I had a ringside of view. And as you're aware, North Central Railway carries the maximum traffic on the Indian Railways, and a large number of trains were passing through this area. So those were the human stories which had seen happening right under my nose, and could interact with them, could appreciate what was happening. Then coming to the stories, I would say like there is a story here called The Painter, where that painter in Italy always drew his inspiration by looking at the celestial objects in the sky, and some imagination fired in his mind. Like he drew the painting of Jesus, but was not satisfied with it and still felt there was a lack in it. And then he drew Judas. It's that the concept of Jesus as a God or Son of God or a very great person came to light or was highlighted when contrasted with Judas. So that has been the broad theme. There's a short drabble. Very few people in India write drabbles. I have been greatly influenced by the writings of, say, Jeffrey Archer, how within 100 words he captures various stories. So this story is about Mirza Ghalib and how he lands in Bali Maran uh, in the present day times and story. So there's a twist in everything. So I wouldn't start, but it is on which I have laid emphasis.
Okay, so I get the hang of that, and very interesting about drabbles. So, because every day your life is made up of maybe many drabbles, and it's only a matter of harnessing your thoughts and putting them on paper. But now you are basically now a writer of fiction, but at the same time, I'm sure, as you've partly told us already, many of your stories or plots are inspired by events in your life. So that is one which you can talk about a little bit more. And I also know that wishing to express yourself is fine, but you have to learn to inspire yourself every day if you want to become a popular author, or at least an author with a greater reach. So how do you seek to and get the inspiration going to let it last throughout the process of writing a book? Ravi.
That's right, sir. I have been inspired two people. Number one, my son. He did architecture and then entertainment designing and he is into that field. He's in Bangalore, who prodded me that one should write fiction. And the true measure of an author or a writer is when you start writing fiction, not just non-fiction. It's in fiction that the quality of talent or the imagination of a writer comes forth. Second, I have been inspired by the writings of Stephen King, the enormous corpus of literature he has written, and so fast. I mean, in his entire span of life, he and his wife, they have written innumerable books of human. As you mentioned, your mind ticking and interests of something of social interest. Like this morning, I received a message from a WhatsApp message from a friend of mine. His name is Shabir, who was very distressed the way the advertisement of Tanishq had to be pulled out after trolling in the social media. Then I could feel the palpable angst, the anguish in his statement. Secondly, the recent incident, what has happened at Hathras, or some years back, what happened at Nirbhaya, or say the presidential elections in US, or what is going to happen in Bihar. These are some events which are taking place around us, or the agitation in Punjab and Haryana. As writer and author, one should keep noting these things down, penning them down. Maybe over a period of time, one can produce a good work of fiction. Any writer.
I will stop you there for a minute.
Sir, sir.
Connecting with what you just said, it is said that anger is very easy to express. When you are angry, you know exactly why something, if I can use the phrase, pisses you off about the world, your niche, or your life in general. And you vent out your frustration, which comes out in very powerful words. So are you saying that this also works for you? Or is it more not anger, but angst? Or is it that you prefer calmness of mind when you write?
So I respond to events, react to events, and for that I would say it is my upbringing. Number one, my father was very much interested in politics. He was a socialist. So the environment in our house at that time was such. In fact, he was one of the authors of the manifesto of the Janata Party. So I could see, and I saw a number of politicians at that time when he had authored it. So that anger I could see in them. Secondly, the movies I had seen at that time. Most friends of mine of that generation watched the movies of Amitabh Bachchan. I'm not berating him, he's a great actor. But I saw the movies of, say, Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri, and the burning issues at that time, which they brought out, say, in Manthan, then in Ardha Satya, and Kali Yuga, Sparsh, then Chakra. These were the movies which really inspired me. So that kind of anger or angst were in my memory bank, and that has influenced my writing. As far as the other aspect, I would say is also there. I am a practitioner of art of living, which you mentioned. I'm a faculty of art of living. I do pranayam, yoga, meditation, and Sudarshan Kriya. So in calmer moments, I have written issues pertaining to the human mind. So both the aspects are there, that which bring out the angst in me and exploring the human mind.
So an interesting question for you now. You told me about the socialist background. So I would assume you were more socialistic in your thinking. So it would reflect, I'm sure it does, to some extent, to the extent I have read your works, is empathy. But at the same time, so why this vicarious appreciation or vicarious pleasure in Narendra Modi ji? And what is this book Namo 303 about? I find it intriguing and not fitting your mold.
So it's not vicarious. In fact, I was writing something else. I was trying to work on quotations. That book would be out. It was on positive quotations, but somehow the agency had agreed to publish it, but they backed off. I was kind of disappointed that I had worked so hard on that piece of work. I had jotted down 365 positive quotes, one positive quote per day to inspire people. And I was disappointed, and I was looking at the election results. That was in 2019 when they were being displayed. Suddenly, I saw the figure of 303, and then I saw the figure of 353. And I said, okay, why not I write on Narendra Modi and the Prime Minister? And I collated his thoughts and his quotations between 2014 and 2019 and jotted them down. And that's how that book came out. And it was trying to decipher his mind, decode his mind. What I find very interesting about that personality is that after that hurly-burly elections, while most people were chilling it out, this gentleman walks up right up to Kedarnath and meditates for 19 hours, and uh, the media follows him. And even without campaigning, he campaigned, and there was tremendous impact on the results, at least in the entire UP, Uttarakhand, this entire belt.
No, but would you, so you mean to say, uh, did you not see it merely optics in this move of the Prime Minister, or were you actually taken in by what he did?
I wouldn't say so. I think this man, one may agree with his politics or not, but he talks only positivity, and things work for him. It's both ways.
Okay, so
you don't
we
find
yeah.
it's
No, we'll
it's
not talk about Modi ji anymore. It's about you and your books.
yeah.
So, two, three things. You just said your publishers backed out on your book of quotations. So, what has been for young budding creative writers? It could be a good inspiration or message for them. So, how did you find dealing with publishers and agents in your while writing your books? Briefly, if you can tell us.
So it's very clear, like in United States of America, no book is published until you go through a literary agent, and that's how they publish. And uh, when you develop yourself as a writer, there are literary agents, and it's very systematic. In India, there are three, four platforms. One is you self-publish, and you have to spend money, though you might get royalty. The entire process of its marketing is not in your hands. It doesn't happen very smoothly. Now, literary agent. A literary agent is supposed to produce your work and then publish it. They pander to big writers. My literary agent, he had signed such a big contract with Amish Tripathi, and that's how their entire Meluha series came out. But otherwise, they don't treat you properly. Now, the third media which has come is social platform. Budding writers have to be very careful because it's quite possible that the platform you're writing on, that platform might use your story and publish it elsewhere, and you won't even get any credit for it. One has to be very careful in these things. I would suggest that young should their own blog and write, say, for established blogs like WordPress and Quora. These are some established blogs where at least your name is there. But the problem now here is, everybody is desperate to very quickly get name and fame, and it doesn't happen so soon. Writing is a very lonely profession. It takes a lot of time, and you are yourself an artist. It takes a lot of time, and it is a tapasya. Years back, I had read about a very famous classical singer from Bhopal. He was taught classical music by his father, and he learned Sare Gama. That's what his father taught him and his cousin. So one day his father had gone out. When he came home, he found his son and his nephew singing the entire right up to Sare Gama Padhanisa. And they got a real hiding from the father. He said, look, I taught you only Sare Gama, you just practice that. So these people ventured into singing after enormous practice, after 30, 40 years. And that's how they became such famous singers and such prodigious singers. Writers should be, or any artist should take time, hone his craft fully entering this field.
Okay, Ravi. So before we end the program, I'll ask you three quick questions and
Sure.
replies. One is, of course, simply if you can explain whether it is deliberate or it's your consciousness that most of your stories have a kind of a sad and negative twist. Number one. Number two, what's the book in the making? Your seventh book? It's in your mind, I'm sure, already. And third, what's the message you would like to give to readers? Because you attention span and reading habit, these are declining, as you know, especially among younger lot also.
Yes.
But nothing like a book. So what would be your message to younger people? So these three questions quickly.
So, firstly, I wouldn't call it dark, I would call it ironic, my stories. And once again, I go back to my in theater. And we have seen number of plays together in Bangalore where you posted, and I was also posted. My foray began with acting with people like Barry John and Pankaj Kapoor, and innumerable plays I saw National School of Drama. At that time, it was theater of very high quality, say Mahabhoj, Ek Hua Faisla, then Tughlaq, Karnad. These were the
Manohar.
plays
Yeah.
which me. And they Manohar Singh and
Manohar Singh, yeah.
all those, and they are in the in the alcoves of my mind, and that have influenced my writing, and it is various twists and turns, and I cannot forget two scenes. I would just take your time. One, when I went to see Tughlaq, Manohar Singh was playing the role of Tughlaq and Surekha Sikri, his mother. And he literally strangulated her because he was so much involved in that play. And second one is Surekha Sikri in Andha Yug, written by Dharamveer Bharti, where she beseeches Krishna that why couldn't he prevent the apocalypse. So that has my mind, and that's how I write on various twists and turns rather than purely dark, if one may say. The
Good point.
second question was on
Your next book. Your next book.
Next book, number one, this particular book is being translated by railway electoral officer's wife. So that would be coming out in November. That's not my work, of course. I mean, it's being translated. It's the next book. I won't narrate it, but it's a novel. It's about a Chinese lady who ventures to India in search of peace and meditation, what she goes through in her country and what is happening out here. So I have signed the contract on that. I'm working on that. For the authors, budding authors, I would recommend three things. One, as Stephen King says, keep reading, keep writing. keep reading, keep writing enormously. Let it be edited, massacred. One. Secondly, learn at least 20 to 30 new word would be learn 20 to 30 quotations every day. That enriches you. Unfortunately, today we do not have the papers which we had read during our school and college times. I mean, papers like the Statesman, then it's just not available, or the Telegraph, or M.J. Akbar's Sunday, the front line of those days, N. Ram editing himself, or Kushwant Singh writing. It was not for TRPs. It was genuine stuff, genuine literature with a lot of research. And that was something fantastic.
Oh, so thank you, Ravi, for joining us today. And all I can say, more and more power to your elbow. And may your writing news and your writing skills reach more and more people. All the best. And of course, I have two advice also for you.
Sure, sir.
First is your translation of the book. I've read this book, so I'm telling you, please make sure that it is Hindustani and not Hindi in conventional sense. That will make it more eminently readable. That means usage of bolchal ke words and Urdu words, not tough Urdu words. So if it makes sense, an advice for you. And number two, you are going places, Ravi, and you will be on social media more often than not. So please rectify your Wi-Fi. Yeah, because anyway, so we'll have you a program someday on Panorama. So viewers, I hope you like this format of Straight Drive Panorama today. Next week, I'll be back with you with Straight Drive regular, and then week after that, Straight Drive Panorama. Till then, goodbye. Namaskar.